Hello, everyone. It's so good to have you here with us at Inova Klabin em Casa Festival. Now it's time for a very interesting talk with the CEO of Natura & Co. America Latina, a business unit that holds Natura, Avon, the Body Shop in the region, and Aesop Brazil. Our guest is also responsible for innovation and global management of Natura brand. Welcome, João Paulo Ferreira. What a pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
I'm fine. It's a pleasure being here with you, Rosana, and be together with Klabin's community.
João Paulo, the group Natura & Co. is a success case when we think about ESG agenda because the merge of these four brands was born with a business plan oriented to create positive social and environmental impact. But I would like to listen from you how this synergy works because we have in one hand Avon that is very popular and on the other hand we have Aesop that is a luxury beauty brand. How they complement each other.
Excellent question. Because actually, the purpose is a filter to bring new companies to our group. Natura's founders, many decades ago, created a vision that they thought for this company. And they said that this would be a company with a worldwide expression identified with the mindset of people who believe in a better world from their self-development and social development as well. In a certain moment, we decided that for this vision to come true, we needed to acquire new companies into this family. Otherwise, it would take a long time. So we started looking for other companies, and that was the criteria. Is this a company that contributes for a better world? In some cases, it's more evident. Avon, for instance, it began 135 years ago. It was one of the first companies that gave place for women's empowerment. That in a moment when women didn't have civil rights, such as the right to vote, or the Body Shop, founded by Anita Roddick. She has always been an activist against beauty stereotypes, animal testing, and Aesop from Australia. They have the products that are renewable and natural, and they always believed that a company, a retail company, in terms of cosmetics, and all their stores had the power to change that district or that neighborhood based on people who live there. So this is the condition for these companies to arrive at this family. And when they are in the family, we decide where we go together. It doesn't matter where we've started, but where are we going together? And that's why in the middle of the pandemic, the group Natura & Co. published its new ambition for 2030, which is a commitment to life.
Well, before we talk about life commitment, such an ambitious plan where you committed to invest 800 USD, I want for you to give me some details. You mentioned the Women Empowering Through Beauty market. The direct sales is something very important for Avon and Natura. How does this woman insert themselves in this digital world? We know that some of them don't even have access to this in a more deepened way.
Sometimes we have this impression just to find out that opportunities are huge. It's interesting to think about the original business of Avon or Natura as a huge social network. If you think that it's a group of people, entrepreneurs, who get together voluntarily around common goals that include individual prosperity, but also collective development goals. And that these people created these brands that are super powerful, telling stories, advocating their point of views, in getting close to their clients. And through these people, through these entrepreneurs, we've reached millions of clients physically. You can also imagine that as a business, it's a mix of what is nowadays Amazon, Google, and Facebook. But all of this happened without digital instruments, offline, as people say. So imagine the power of amplifying all these connections through digital solutions. Then we figured out what's the routine, the everyday life of these wonderful consultants. And we realized that they are already digitalized. Sometimes we go to meetings in very remote places in Brazil, and we meet these consultants and representatives, and they show us, they talk to their clients through WhatsApp. What do you mean? I talk to them about news, how to use things, we arrange where I'm going to deliver the product and so on. Oh, interesting. But from the optics that I told you of a social network that it's offline, it makes sense. They're amplifying that. So that's why a few years ago we realized that it was our company that should modernize to be part of this digital universe, because this was already happening, because it was a very normal experience for them, and it happened during pandemic. So we had all these efforts to amplify these digital relationships, because this was the only way to do business.
Do you think that this is already affecting the company's results, profitability, and performance?
Yes, no doubt about it. We've published our group's 2020 results, and in the economic point of view, it was one of the best results of the company within the pandemic. And I think that happened because of a few components. First is that our absolute priority was to protect people, people before things. So, and we wanted to stop the infection. So all our efforts in the beginning of the pandemic was to donate products for health institutions, governments, to help our consultants that were in a more vulnerable position. We created a fund to help those who are in a vulnerable position, including food, unfortunately funeral help, and also support against domestic violence. That there was really an increase during the pandemic. And what we saw was that right at this moment, and the results showed, was a huge retribution by society. They considered that our business really helped them during the pandemic throughout Latin America. The satisfaction indicators and loyalty indicators from our consultants reached the highest levels in history. And we've kept the economy circulating, because many of them lost their jobs and they couldn't put food on the table except for this beauty consultant activity. And the only way to do that was through digital solutions that we were creating in the previous years. So to answer your question is yes, all this combined allowed us to have an amazing result during a very hard year.
We can say that this group achieved maturity but didn't abandon its identity, because Natura was born in a small and shy house, helping the riverside population using Amazon input and generating jobs for this population, and you keep going on this essence. And talking about life commitment, the plan that you recently released for the next 10 years, these are very urgent issues and subjects like Amazon protection, social equality, circular economy, and reforestation, and not only reducing the emission of carbon, but all things that are important for the environment. Can you talk a little bit about this commitment?
I'm really proud that within so many hardships, our group managed to place itself looking ahead without its idea of sustainability, that the future of a company depends on its ability to contribute to society today. Natura had published a vision for 2050 many years ago, and the group now that is part with these four companies published its vision for 2030, which is what we call commitment to life. It has three axes: to address the climate crisis and protect the Amazon. Second, to defend human rights and be humankind. And the third one is to embrace circularity and regeneration. These ambitions, many of them, we don't know how it's going to work. For some of them, we have great plans. For others, it's just an ambition. But we see that the social environmental challenges is an engine of innovation, as an opportunity for business. The world walks towards these needs. So the groups that walk ahead using innovation will have advantages, and they will have a long life. For instance, we are working with almost 7,000 families for many decades, and we've been learning how to work in the Amazon, to prospect ingredients, to listen to the local and remodel the traditional knowledge, to create other value sources as well as the ingredient with different mechanics within communities. And our activity there was contributing to maintain 2 million hectares of forest. So we're going to protect, in 2030, we're going to protect 3 million hectares. In terms of human rights inclusion, our Human Development Index, we notice and we create policies to improve education, families' income. And also I'm very proud to say that in Latin America we have already reached one of these goals, which was of gender equality. So 51% of all leadership positions in the company are occupied by women. And here in Brazil, more than 7% of our employees have some physical or cognitive restrictions. So we learn how to do these things, and also this circularity theme, which has a lot to do with Klabin, because we want to build closed chains using the post-consumption residue and reincorporate this into our chain, that it should be biodegradable, renewable, and also this amazing concept of regeneration. It's just not doing harm. The existence of our activities should be beneficial. And there's a lot of science behind it, many technological challenges. That's why we like to work with partners such as Klabin.
The regeneration is this method where you have the carbon emission from the industry, but you also can do carbon sequestration, and this will become a lot of benefits for the environment. When we say Brazil needs to develop an Amazon bioeconomy, this plan, this model that you use since the beginning is very interesting because you can help the forest to be away from deforestation. You also think about the social aspects because you benefit all the population that needs the job. And also you have the governance aspect. In our country, this is so much needed because we face a lot of corruption. We have a very inadequate orientation when we think about plans and business.
About it. Systemic changes are complex. By definition, they can't be solved by one player. They need a collaboration, whether in a company or in the country or in the world, and how these efforts are coordinated. When we talk about the Amazon, we are seeing the creation of coalitions, and I think that's very positive. Companies from very different sectors, from the agro-business, from mining, the organized civil society, different companies and organizations, different areas of government, federal, municipal, and state governments, getting together to change regulations and so on, to create monetization on environmental services and fight the illicit. That's very important. The main theme is not the development of sustainable companies and how that has impact in the forest and eventual regeneration. The most important problem is the illicit, to fight illegal deforestation. So this relies on a governance that is well structured, as well as companies. It's the same thing. So I'm sure that only dialogue can promote this.
Well, João Paulo, I'm now going to invite two Klabin representatives. They have questions for João Paulo, Danilo Vanelli from the Products Engineering, and also Júlio Nogueira, that is from the sustainability area. How are you doing, guys? Welcome to our talk. Now I'm going to ask Danilo to make the first question to João Paulo, please.
Good afternoon, João Paulo. It's a pleasure talking to you. João, with the pandemic, there was an exponential acceleration of e-commerce throughout all layers of population. Also, there was a growth of people's trust in this channel. Based on that, what is Natura's expectation on a natural migration from consultants through e-commerce? Do you believe that this channel will surpass in volume the work through consultants if Natura also sees e-commerce as a direct line to its final consumers, and if they want to intend to use their packages as a way to shorten this communication? Thank you, Danilo. You are right. The growth of online purchasing channels has had an exponential growth. And as I was saying before, that's what allowed our consultants to keep on doing business during the pandemic. Our choice is to allow that they offer all the kinds of experience to their clients. So nowadays, more than 1.2 million consultants in Latin America have their own online store. Every consultant that comes, they receive an online store to sell to their clients. Likewise, we've seen the explosion of the influencers. What do? They suggest certain products, what looks good on you. That's what consultants do, our beauty consultants do. So we've allowed our consultants to use tools so that they could communicate to their contact networks, posting their tips, posting the material that we make available, allowing the client watching those videos buy something with a single click. Of course, the electronic commerce, the e-commerce is going to grow, but our choice was to make this e-commerce should be done by the beauty consultant. Instead of taking this business away from them, we decided to amplify that so that they could go even further, and this is growing a lot. One of the alternatives that our consultants have when they sell digitally is that if they want to deliver the product in the client's home, or if we send it directly as the traditional e-commerce. Many of them ask us to do it for them because the client doesn't live so close and so on. So every moment that the consumer meets the product is a moment of communication, and that experience of opening a package of cosmetics is unforgettable. Everything has to be nice, from the texture, the facility, the smell that comes out. Everything has to be spectacular. The messages that they see, the dimensions of the box. So it's an amazing opportunity of communication. So, of course, we count on you.
Now we're going to listen to Julio's question.
João, boa tarde. Prazer imenso falar contigo.
João, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure talking to you. I really admire Natura. It's a great partner of ours. And I'd like to know from you, João, in terms of the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the UN, how did Natura internalize this theme? And also complementing the question, I also would like to know, we as suppliers to Natura, how can we contribute to the sustainable goals established by Natura? Very well, thank you. Excellent question. As I was saying, Natura's ambition were structured around a program called Commitment to Life as a first stop for 2030 with very well established goals. And each one of these ambitions, and there's so many, they're related to the SDG. But they were described in a way that makes sense for the everyday life or our business. In our internal communication, we don't see the SDGs, but we see carbon positive and so many percent for next year, for instance. So this kind of things that make sense for the everyday life of the business. And maybe that was one of the success reasons for Natura. The social environmental themes, they're related to the business. They're not themes that are dealt by the sustainable sector. They're in the everyday life of everyone in the company. I'll give an example. One thing is the remodelation of the business people. All business people of the company, of the group in the world, they have social environmental goals that condition their bonus payment every year. So this is one of the things, and these goals are different by business unit, country, and so on, but everyone has. This is one thing. On the other hand, if we see the carbon goal, each business has a carbon budget. So, for instance, the employee who's working at the transportation area, he has to choose in the deposit that he's operating if he's going to ship that product on a boat, on a truck, on a bicycle, or on an electric car, based on their carbon budget. It has to be fast, it has to be a good service, but they have to reduce carbon. So this kind of development of the goals, it has to make sense for every employee. Maybe not all employees understand the complexity and sophistication of the sustainability program of the company, but every employee has at least one variable in their everyday life that affects this program. It's within their reach, within their decision authority.
Very well. I would like to thank the presence of Júlio and Danilo here in our talk with João Paulo. You are welcome every time. And João Paulo, it was a pleasure to talk to you. It's a shame that we don't have more time to talk more about all the sustainable initiatives of Natura & Co group. I wish you a lot of success and talk to you in the future.
Thank you, Rosanna. Thank you, Danilo and Julio. Thank you, Klabin, for the opportunity of being here together, stimulating each other, and how we're advanced with this sustainability border. Thank you.
Bye, guys. See you in the next time. This is how it works. We are always talking about innovation, transformation, search of a better future for every one of us. I'm expecting you in the next opportunity. Stay tuned.